We're live, guys. We're live. Just in case you're seeing me for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this live with your family and friends. So, guys, we're here earlier, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, we had to leave and come live again. So let's give it a good solid 2 minutes and see who comes, then we can start. So if you're here, you can also share this live with your friends. There might be people who are interested. I'm trying to do this so that we can start. Okay. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, we're going to be reacting to some of the conversations on social media this week, basically. And I'd also like to hear your thoughts and opinion on them. And you can leave us you can leave your comment in the chat section. You can leave your comment in the chat, and you can also tell me where you're watching from, just in case you're watching or you're coming on our live for the very first time. So, by the way, if you're in Nigeria and you have been, you know, on the social media space this week, you probably must have seen you probably must have seen these conversations or topics. So first off, the first hot topic that we're going to be or that I'm going to be sharing my opinion on is Nigeria deports 50 Chinese nationals, one Tunisian in cybercrime crackdown. Guys, in as much as Nigeria has gotten the bad rap for cybercrime slash Yahoo Yahoo activities around the world, we are also aware that there are a lot of people who are not Nigerians, especially the Chinese and the Indians, who relocate to Nigeria just because they feel that since Nigeria has a lot, like our population is literally over the top, so they feel they can hide here and be, not be found or be seen. And at the end of the day, Nigerians still get a bad rap for what these foreign nationals do. So I was very happy to see in the news this week that there was a crackdown. At least now we understand that not all scammers that not all scammers in Nigeria are Nigerians. Yes, I know that, of course, our government will be blamed because literally people will say we're lawless and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I was very happy to see this on the news, guys, because in as much as we get looked down on when we go for visa applications, we get looked down on at international airports, almost as if everybody that has that green passport or everybody that looks like a Nigerian or is a Nigerian, speaks Nigerian, is a scammer. Not all Nigerians are scammers, and I'm happy that our government is beginning to do something about this, because at the end of the day, I understand that some of these Chinese nationals come into Nigeria, pay some of our government officials, some amount of money, and they are now allowed to do whatever they like. That even if they do something bad and you report them to the police, it's almost like the police cannot do anything to them. They are almost untouchable. This also comes from my experience when I was in Lagos. I actually didn't experience because I've never worked with any Chinese, but these Chinese and Indians, when they're in Nigeria, they have a lot of them have factories, and the way they maltreat Nigerians, guys, like it can't happen anywhere else other than Nigeria. Why? Because they have definitely tipped some law enforcement agencies or whoever, and for that reason they are untouchable. It's sad, but of course it's our reality. So when we see things like this in the news, at least we know that at least the government is doing something, at least taking a step in the right direction. Yeah. So for the second headline this week is this one. I know that a lot of people on Facebook, it made, there was a huge noise about it. I couldn't help but to see what it was about. It is Gay Gays University. You guys, I don't know, for people who are, I know everybody doesn't use Facebook, but for the people who are on Facebook, you may have seen something about Gay Gays University. So now Gay Gay is a social media influencer on Facebook and I think TikTok as well, who shares his thoughts and opinions on finance, and also shares his thoughts and opinions on why guys should not be of any financial help to girls. He terms guys who render any form of financial help to women as like they don't know what they're doing, for lack of a better word. So this week, Gege opened a university, literally an online university, where he was talking about women, why you shouldn't help. Come on, this particular, like, this whole Gege situation is giving me Andrew Tate's vibes. In as much as I know that he has come out to say that he has a life online and he has a different a different life offline, but at the end of the day, a lot of people do not, or a lot of his fans might not be able to separate it, because come on, I believe this guy has sisters, and I believe he, of course, has a mother. And sometimes the way he talks down on women is very disappointing to me. Not that I expect much from him, but come on. You are a social media influencer. That means you're in a space where you can spread good news and inspire people regardless of your sex. Now, like I said, it's also giving Andrew Tate vibes, because then again, there was a time where a Romanian national, Andrew Tate, was on the internet literally doing the same thing that Gege is doing, talking down on women, calling men having any kind of loyalty or anything towards women. And for some reason, one thing with social media is that at first it starts like cloud chasing. Then all of a sudden it looks like you get comfortable, and before you know, you're rigmaroling in negativity and all that stuff. So now with Andrew Tate, of course, when he started, he was getting claps. He even had a university as well, just like Gege. But when what he was doing went out of hand, Andrew Tate was banned from all social media platforms. That now, for him to be on social media, he has to be on somebody else's page, or maybe somebody else is sharing his post. He personally cannot be on social media and cannot make money off YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media, which is sad, because come on, Andrew Tate had a huge following, just as Gege is amassing right now. He had a huge following that I believe that could have been used to spread something positive, as opposed to hate speech against women. And you know, it's crazy. So for me, I feel like Gege can do better. You don't have to hate. We can all live together peacefully, and you don't have to pit anybody against anybody. And as one of my favorite speakers would say, one of my favorite speaker once said, no society, okay, for example, now a plane or a boat that functions with two engines, no matter how much you try to turn off the other one to make the other one feel like, oh, they are doing the most, that plane will not move as efficiently as it would with both engines. So whether we like it or not, male, female, men, women, we are all very important in society, and it's better that we come together to make the society better as opposed to go against each other. But then again, there will be situations whereby one sex or the other does something. It doesn't mean you cannot call out someone when they've done something, but we should all hold each other accountable as opposed to preaching hate regardless. But like I said earlier, Gege might just be catching cruise. But then again, I think somebody should tell him to be careful. The cruise begins to look like hate speech and that you are inciting one sex against the other. These social media platforms will not hesitate to throw you out. So that's that on Gege's university. And I even heard that God. So a lot of people, for some reason, this Gege has a lot of following. And I'm sure a lot of people just, went on his live to see what he was gonna say or whatever, because then a lot of people also a lot of people reacted to his live. A lot of people even came out to start their own school. I think one other influencer, a female, also started her own school to also teach women how to use men. Something, God, guys, trust me, it's a mess. Like, we have better things to do. So, like I said, I learned that Gege's live, on this particular live where he was having these conversations, he made a whooping $30,000. Fine and good, he has made the money, but he can still make that money or even more doing something more positive. Imagine if he gets banned, then he can't make any of this money. Then, so what was the point? Anyway, I'm sure he knows what he's doing and he knows when to step back when it's getting out of hand. So the next thing I'll be reacting to is, okay, just in case you're here, what do you think about the gay saga, literally? You can share your thoughts in the comment section or in the chats. I'd like to know what you think. Would like to know your thoughts and opinion. So moving on from Gege's University, we have Naira Marley. Now, for those of you who do not know who Naira Marley is a Nigerian musician. But sometime last year, he had a scandal where he was accused of bullying another musician who lost his life. So the musician in question now is the late Mobad. So Mobad was a musician signed under Naramali's label, and at some point there were rumors that he was being bullied and beaten and threatened, and for some reason people believe that this must have led him to depression or caused his death. So Naira has come out to clear the air to say that when everything happened, he wasn't in the country. So basically, he came out to say his own side of the story. But for some reason, a lot of people still don't believe him. And Mobad's father has come out to say that he actually bullied his son. Now, in as much as I understand that Naira has, or is trying to clear his name, but the facts are still there. There were videos that were circulated online. We saw him and his friend bully Mobad, even though that did not lead to his death, but he can take responsibility for that instead of saying that or trying to give this impression that it was all love and he nothing negative ever happened to Mobad in his presence or that he had any knowledge of. So in as much as he came out to say his own side of the story, a lot of people were not buying it. A lot of people were still bashing him. But then again, the impact of this whole scandal has been a lot on Naira Marley, because I know that a lot of radio stations banned his music from being played. He had a lot of people unfollowed him, even a lot of celebrities, musicians, influencers kind of like disassociated themselves and distanced themselves from him, which I want to believe, affected his earnings, his income. But at the end of the day, in my thoughts and opinion, I feel like Naramali just came a little bit too late. This video he did today, he could have done it like when this conversation was still hot, because now the conversation has gone from it being centered around only Naramali to allegations of his now his widow being accused of, killing him, accusations pointing to the fact that the child might not be his own, people asking for autopsy, DNA, it's been a lot of back and forth. Some celebrities were even involved, dragged. Yabo Ojo, who came out to, seek for justice for Mobad and his family. At the end of the day, a lot of people just got caught up in the whole, drama, which has, in my opinion, dragged on for too long. And I don't even think, according to what Very Dark Man said, I don't even think Mobad has been buried, because I understand that when he died, he was buried and they had to exhume his body to carry out an autopsy, which is crazy. Until this day, he hasn't been buried yet. Guys, crazy, man. Crazy. But in my opinion, I feel like if all the parties that were involved had come out initially to, say their part or whatever the role they played in it, take accountability, we wouldn't still be here months after dragging this whole thing out. And funny enough, the poor boy needs to rest in peace. Like he needs to be buried so that he can go and rest. Like I've never seen him suffer this much. To be very honest, it's one allegation or the other. One person is being accused. A lot of conspiracy theories. Yes, I understand that people are trying to, get justice for him, his family, his son, whatever the case might be. But as Nigerians, sometimes we should know when to let something rest. This boy has suffered. Like he suffered while he was alive. Apparently, please let's allow his soul rest. So, just in case you're watching this, I'd like to know your thoughts and your opinion on the whole Naramali Mobad situation. I feel like Naramali should have come out to have this conversation a very, 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 very long time ago. I feel it's a little bit too late. You were prepared for too long. You waited for people to come up with different conspiracy theories, and you now want to come out months, if not even a year. I can't remember. I know it's months. I think it's more than a year now. Later to come and act like you're innocent. Yes, you may not have killed Mobad, but there are videos that show that you actually bullied him or allowed him to be bullied by your partner or your friend. So basically, that's my thought on the whole Naramali coming out now to, tell his part, even though some people do not blame him, but sorry, some people do not believe him, but I do not believe that Naramali actually killed Mubad. That's my personal thoughts and opinion. You can share your comments. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Now, another headline is this one is just the funniest one. Like when I first saw it, initially I thought it was like a skit or some kind of, joke or something. But when I read it, I realized that it was real for real. So this lady was invited by a guy to visit him, and he sent her 30,000 naira as transport fare to, come visit him. And for some reason, the lady did not go. I didn't really read the story, line for line, but what I understand from what I saw is the fact that she didn't go and the guy took her to court. And now she was fined a whooping sum of 450,000 naira to pay the guy or go to jail for, is it 7 months, 7 years? I wasn't really interested, but I wanted to see, if it was real or not. So she's now being fined. Either she pays the fine or she goes to prison. And when the judgment was read, from the video I saw, like there was this shock on her face, like she was shocked. So personally, I believe that Okay, let me not say personally. There's this culture in Nigeria of women, girls, ladies collecting money from men and actually not showing up because, of course, they didn't plan to go, or probably they don't like the person. But guys, if you're watching this has to stop. You have to stop it if that's what you do, because now you can be charged to court and find a lot more than what you received, or you would have to go to jail. But in as much as this is funny, a lot of people are laughing about it. There's also, you know, a takeaway here that the world has moved away from that time where men were seen as money bags. You do anything, say anything to just get money from the man, and maybe out of shame, he might not be able to come out to say it. But now, people are, with the rise of mental health, nobody wants to, go home and something is just affecting them, like affecting them mentally, and they cannot say it. And the fact that this guy went to court to seek